Late last December, Lisa Vreman saw a press release in her local paper. A new library would be opening in Morrisburg, South Dundas, the next town over. First, she thought this would be good news. New facilities, longer hours. Until she reached the end of the announcement. It would happen at the expense of her own library. The Williamsburg Library is set to be merged with the Morrisburg branch. There's no date set for the closure, and some members of the community hope to keep it that way. Lisa Vreman is one Williamsburg resident hoping to save the public library. She's with us now on the phone. Hi there, Lisa.
Hello there.
When you heard that the branch was going to be closed, what went through your head?
My first thought was kind of anger, why would they want to close our library? It's very well used. We have lots of families, lots of seniors who come to our library on a regular basis, and so I don't understand why they would want to close it. Nobody really gave a reason why.
Can you just let me know how often you use the library?
We go there 2 or 3 times a week.
So is that, when you say the library is used often, can you describe that for me? I just because people's assumption will be hearing this, if they've never been there,
right,
will be, it's probably underused.
Right. Well, it's open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the evenings, and Saturdays from 10 to 1. And when you go in, you'll see families there with their little kids and getting books for school, getting books for read for fun. There's several seniors who come there every Saturday morning. It's like a little club. They all get together and have a visit, meet your neighbors, find out what's new in town. But anyway, to find out how well used it is, the best source would be to look at the library website. The statistics themselves tell us that per hour, Williamsburg circulates more books than almost any other branch in SD&G. I think it was 14 books an hour that it averaged the last few months.
14 books an hour?
Pardon?
14 books an hour?
Yes. And in a small town like that, that's a pretty good number. On either side of us, we have Morrisburg and Winchester, which are much larger towns. They both have libraries that are open about twice as many hours as our library is. And they don't circulate nearly as much per hour as we do.
So if it does close and moves to Morrisburg, what kind of effect do you think that's going to have on the community?
Well, a lot of people are quite upset about it. There are some in town here who don't drive, who don't go to Morrisburg for groceries. They go north because they work in Ottawa or Winchester or other places north of here. And we had a meeting actually on Thursday of last week with the library board to discuss this. And the Chesterville Library was packed. The chairs were full. There was not even standing room left with people in there to let them know, we're not happy with this decision.
But I guess that's one thing to understand that people aren't happy. But what would happen to that community if there's that library is in Morrisburg instead of Williamsburg?
What would happen to the community? I'm not sure how to answer that. We have lost several businesses over the last decade or so, too, in town here. The Canadian Tire was closed up, and a big one was built in Morrisburg. There have been some other restaurants and stores and businesses that have closed up. It certainly wouldn't be a good thing for our town.
I guess some people would say, okay, Morrisburg is fairly close by. It's a short drive away. It's going to have longer hours. It would offer better facilities. What do you say to those people?
Well, for some people, it might not make a difference. But for those who don't drive or rely on someone else for a ride, it would certainly make a difference. You'd have to go when it's convenient for them. And for other people whose lives tend to be here in north as opposed to south, Morrisburg is south of us, it certainly wouldn't be convenient. I mean, for those of us with kids, such as me, we can walk there. And we do so, 2 or 3 times a week. But to have to come home from work, as most people do, and then have supper, and then pack the kids up to drive to Morrisburg instead of just walking down the road, it's just not as nice at all.
I mean, and it could well be something that people listening take for granted because they have it in their neighborhood. They have it in their own town or city. Now, you mentioned this public meeting last week. When you had all those people in one area, what happened?
Well, I'd had to apply to the library board to be allowed to speak, and they did allow me. I gave my presentation for reasons why we wanted to keep our library and asked why they would like to close it. They did not answer as I had expected because they said that I was allowed to make a presentation but not to be peppering them with questions. A few people called out from the audience saying, why haven't you answered my emails? Why won't you answer our phone calls? We have questions. Why? And they said, this is not the forum for this. So
they held a public meeting that they weren't allowed to ask questions at?
No, it wasn't a public meeting per se. This one was one where I had applied to make a presentation to the board, and that they allowed, but they did not allow questions there.
I see. All right.
When I was all done speaking, the chair of the library board did say he will agree to have a public meeting in Williamsburg, which they expect will be late April or early May, where people can come and ask questions. But as far as the content of what I had to say, he kind of smoothed it over and said, just wait till we wow you with our presentation. You will be convinced that this will be a good thing to close your library. So,
could you be convinced?
I don't know if I could be, to be honest.
I just wonder, is there anything they could offer you where you'd say, okay, in that case, it's an okay thing to do?
At this point, I don't think so. I mean, you never know. There could be surprises, but I think there'd be a lot of people who would never be able to say yes about that.
But is it a done deal? This is the part I'm just trying to understand, Lisa. Is this for sure going ahead?
I don't think it is a done deal. At one point, like when it was first announced, they were saying this is the way that it is. Now, our township offices here in Williamsburg are planning to be moved into a new building in Morrisburg that's being renovated. There's no date been given for that yet, but it's expected that the library was supposed to close around that time whenever they move, in which case the township office building here in Williamsburg would be empty. So we've asked different members of Township Council on South Dundas, what is going on with the building? Is it for sale? Has it been sold? And the responses that I've received said there are no plans for the building, there is no buyer for the building, so we don't see why they have to go. Nobody seems to know why this decision has been made.
So you think you still have a chance to save it then?
I certainly do. It's worth fighting for. It's a wonderful place full of wonderful people, and it's done so much good for the community. My own family has benefited greatly from it. My kids all have a love to read, and can't wait to go there every time.
Lisa Vreman, we'll stay in touch. We'd love to hear what happens next. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
It's Lisa Vreman in Williamsburg. She's part of an effort to keep the library there from closing. You can check out their Facebook page. Save the Williamsburg Library Branch is the title of that Facebook page.